a Wolverine, the largest weasel on Earth, alone in a wilderness buried in snow for 8 months of the year. A place now warming 3 times faster than the rest of the planet. The deep snow that keeps her alive is arriving later every year. Even the toughest animal in North America is only as strong as the season beneath her feet. She was hunting before the prey even arrived. Here in Glacier National Park's high country, she has already covered 6 miles since dawn, following a scent that grows fainter with every stride. The extra warmth pressing on these mountains doesn't just shrink the snowpack, it speeds up decay. And a carcass she can't reach in time may already be picked clean or gone before she gets there. This time of year, a Wolverine can go days between real meals. Every promising trace gets investigated. She drops to her chest and digs hard at a patch where the scent seemed strongest, throwing spray in every direction, and comes up with nothing but frozen dirt. She can't afford a wrong guess. 200 yards downwind, a grizzly is already feeding on an elk carcass, and she has been circling for nearly an hour, testing the wind, testing his attention. The first time she edges closer, his head comes up before she's covered 10 feet, and she freezes, then backs off just as slowly as she came. The second time, he huffs and takes a half step toward her, and that's enough. She peels away into the trees without waiting to see if he means it. But the third time, his head stays down, buried in the carcass itself, and she doesn't hesitate. She darts in low along his blind side, snatches a mouthful from the exposed edge, and is already 3 strides gone before he even lifts his head. That single mouthful won't carry her far. In a range this competitive, survival means covering ground most animals never would, and some of that ground already belongs to somebody else. Something is already aimed. Fresh wolf tracks cross straight over her own scent line, no more than an hour old, leading toward the very ridge she was already heading for. A Wolverine's territory can run past 400 square kilometers, not because she needs that much space to find food, but because almost nothing in it is truly hers alone. This kind of cold empties a landscape of options. In country this harsh, there's rarely more than one real meal within reach on any given day. So a Wolverine's territory has to be enormous, just to make sure she encounters enough of them. And the wolf pack working this same ridge is running the exact same math. She stops at a boulder she scent marked days ago and finds it already overmarked. Wolf scent laid directly on top of her own. Losing this ground isn't about one shared carcass, it's about whether there's anywhere left dense enough with food to fall back to. She holds the ridge for a moment, watching the tree line where they disappeared. Then she turns and keeps moving, because a territory this large doesn't patrol itself. Somewhere ahead, the terrain becomes steep enough that nothing else even tries to follow. And there, she finds the one kind of ground she's never had to share. That pause is the whole strategy. 600 meters up, With no trail and no second chances, she moves along a route where every step matters. Now, she's balanced on a ledge barely wider than her own paw, weighing a move she can't take back once she commits. Wolverines have been documented climbing terrain this steep in under 2 hours, even in the dead of winter. Their claws work almost like crampons, giving them the grip they need on snow, ice, and rock. Every few days, she does something most predators rarely bother with. She buries what she can't eat, leaving small caches scattered across kilometers of her territory, instead of eating everything in one place. She digs into a snowdrift to check one she made a week ago, but it's already been raided. The tracks belong to a marten, small enough to slip through a gap she never thought to cover. She doesn't waste time on it. There are dozens of other caches scattered across her territory, and this winter, some of them may matter more than she knows yet. The snow beneath her front paws suddenly gives way on a slope that avalanched 2 winters ago. It's not a full collapse, but her hind legs scramble for traction on the loose snow. She doesn't freeze. She throws her weight forward, her claws finding rock beneath the snow, and pulls herself onto solid ground several body lengths beyond the break. She's built up this reserve across the mountainside, one cache at a time, for exactly this reason. In a few weeks, she won't be able to hunt every day like she does now. And somewhere within this same territory, she's already chosen the place where she'll go next. It's not moving, it's waiting. Nearly 2 meters beneath the packed spring snow, in a den she dug and dug again 3 times before she was satisfied, 2 kits are waiting for her to return. She's already traveled 11 miles since leaving them this morning. What's at stake isn't just whether these 2 make it through the next few weeks. It's whether this den can hold together at all. 98% of the Wolverine dens ever mapped needed snow to last into mid-May. And this spring is already running warm. And she isn't doing all of this alone. Every few days, a male she's mated with before slips in while she's away, carrying part of a kill, and stays just long enough to make sure both kits are still breathing before he moves on. Warm rain begins falling on ground that should still be buried in snow. The wrong kind of storm for this elevation this late in spring. Water starts seeping through hairline cracks in the roof. Above the kits, the packed snow begins to sag. Then, part of the roof gives way. She's already moving, grabbing the nearest kit and dragging it into the backup chamber she dug weeks ago for exactly this reason. Then, she goes back for the second. By the time the rain stops, the main chamber has partly collapsed, but both kits are dry in the second den. And outside, the male is already arriving with the first real meal she's had in 2 days. Tonight, this den holds. But the snow that made it possible won't last much longer than the season already fighting to end it early. Every animal here owes something to a Wolverine most of them never see. The same warming spring shortening her den season is pushing pika higher up these slopes. The wolves she held off 2 ridges back depend on the same carcasses she does. Nothing here goes to waste because of her. Both kits will be nearly her size by late summer, still at her side. None of this holds without snow lasting into May. And here, that's exactly the piece of the season now arriving late. Tonight, the season beneath her feet held, because she buried food before she needed it, fought for ground most animals her size wouldn't claim, and moved her kits before the thaw reached them. For now, that's enough. It always has to be.